Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm coming at you today with a big smile on my face because I am actually really chuffed with myself for a change. I feel like I've actually achieved something and I'm proud of myself, and there have not been many occasions in my life when I've felt like saying that. But today I got my Diamond Award. I'll hold up my pin. I know it's small and it's not easy to see, so Joe will include a photograph at this point of my certificate and my Diamond Award. Thanks, Joe. Right, the pin, I guess some people wear their pins to group. I've never worn mine. It's actually pinned to the curtains in my bedroom, and that's where this one will go to. This one has a little tiny bit of bling, very tiny bit of bling in it, to signify that the member has been at Target for a year or more. Now, to say that I never stuck to anything would be an understatement, and by anything I mean anything. I've had more hobbies and interests, and well, I'm one of those people, I set off with great enthusiasm to get involved with something and do something, and then I get bored with it, and that always applied to dieting. And I think the saving grace for Slimming World, for me, has been, it's not a diet. And I know some people would disagree with me there, and that's your right to do so. But for me, this plan is not a diet. And that's how I've got to a year of maintaining a weight loss. I was just sitting thinking while Joe was getting the camera out and everything about where I started and where I am today. Now, I started at 308 pounds, 22 stone. After a period of 4.5 years probably, I needed to lose some more weight. I'd plateaued and I thought I was happy at the place I was at, but I wasn't. And I joined Slimming World in May 2015 at 190 pounds, which was 13 stone 8. On the 5th of December last year, 2015, I got to Target at 10 stone 10. Now, I've shared in videos before that I think I was hasty. I think I set my target too quickly. And after a bit of continuing to lose and not being totally happy with where I was at, I finally moved my target to 10 stone. Now, when it comes to actually getting your Diamond Award, you have to be in Target on your first anniversary of getting to Target, if that makes any sense. So this morning at group, having done what I always do with my 2 A's, my 2 B's, and having had this week between 5 and 10 sins a day, I actually maintained again. So it's my 3rd week in a row at 9 stone 13, which kind of gives me an indication that my body likes being where it is at. And I like being where my body's at. So yeah, got my Diamond Award. I am really, really chuffed. And bonuses, you know, I walked 44.39 miles this week, which, yeah, that's a bonus. I can walk. I never used to be able to walk because I was too fat. And I have £260 in the pot this morning because every week since I got to Target, I continued to pay myself £5. So I've got 260 quid to go and buy myself a nice Christmas present. Isn't it funny, when you've got the cash to splurge on yourself, you can't think that you need anything. So I'll put a bit of thought into that between now and Christmas. Right, group was brilliant this morning. Really thoroughly enjoyed it. And we were talking about recipes and getting taste into food and enjoying our food. And a lovely lady who sits alongside me quite often shared that she'd done a liver and bacon recipe with a really nice mashed potato this week. And it was mash with yoghurt and mustard powder and spring onion. And I love mash of any kind. Right, when I was in Sainsbury's this week, I found this. This is mashed beetroot with British mashed potato. I'm sure I've got that wrong. Say it, Joe, how it says.
Beetroot and British mashed potato with creamy horseradish sauce, milk and butter.
Now that sounds quite luxurious to me, especially the creamy horseradish sauce, milk and butter. we bought it, and when we got home we looked on the app, and for the whole 400 grams it's 1.5 Sims. Now I actually had this on Wednesday with my lunch, and that was on the What I Ate Today video that went up midweek, and I have to say it's beautiful. It's really nice if you're a fan of beetroot, which I am. The horseradish taste is not overpowering, but I like horseradish anyway. But to add interest and flavour to a meal, I'd recommend that. The other thing that we noticed in Sainsbury's this week, and it came up at group this morning, they've got butternut squash lasagna sheets in the fresh veg section. So if you want to make a lasagna that's SP friendly, use butternut squash sheets instead of pasta sheets, and you're there. They also had another one, Joe, didn't they? I think it was, they called it courgette sheets, but I think it was, you know when courgettes get really big and they look more like a marrow? It was like that, sliced into sheets. So again, I think that would be really tasty on plan in a lasagna. I'm sure there's lots of other things you can do with it. But yeah, we spoke about things like that at group this morning, where you can use vegetables to add interest to a meal. So vegetables don't just have to be, you know, frozen peas, frozen broccoli, and the very basics, which, okay, they're all handy for speed and things, they're all handy. I mean, speed of making a meal as well as speed vegetables. But if you've got the time and you want to use a bit of imagination, because one of the things I like is concannon mash. Now, I don't know that everybody would make this the same way, but for me, that has cabbage in it. And I know in Ireland they do something I think is called champ or something. Somebody who's Irish, please tell us and give us a recipe that works for Slimming World. It's gorgeous, and I think it has spring onion in it. But there's lots of interesting ways and interesting things that we can do with vegetables, and I'm starting to look for more of this. I love steamed vegetables, I love sautéed vegetables, but I'm looking for some really interesting ways of serving veg. So please, if anybody who watches this has got them, can you pass them on? Especially if they involve red cabbage and beetroot. I love them. I know I can't see the colour, but I know the colours. And just the flavours of those colours, I think they have a lot going for them. So all in all, fantastic group, happy with my results, chuffed to have a Diamond Award, and moving forward into the next week. Now earlier Joe and I were just chatting as we were driving home, and Joe said, you know, there's a few questions I would like to ask you personally about being on plan and being at maintenance and target, and I've given him like free range to do that. I know he won't get too personal because he's quite a sensitive lad anyway, but I thought if they're questions that Joe wants to ask me, things he's not 100% sure how I'd react to, then maybe you'd be interested in the answers too. So he's got free rein today, and as one of the nice ladies said in the comments this week about the good cop, bad cop, it's very obvious I'm the bad cop, and let him be the good cop and treat me nicely. Just one little thing though before we do this question session. A lovely lady who I am regularly in email contact with told me a little story this week about something that happened at her group, and I think this is really motivational. Somebody was talking about, I may get it a bit wrong, forgive me if I do, Elaine, but somebody in her group was talking about struggling coming up to Christmas and everything, and another member said, think about it this way, do you want to be a Christmas cracker or do you want to be a Christmas pudding? I'm going this year for not being a pudding. So I just like that. Might not mean anything to anybody else, but it made me smile, and it's a good reminder. Do you want to be a Christmas cracker or do you want to be a Christmas pudding? Okay, Joe, fire away.
Okay, what are the things that drive you to stay at Target?
The first word that came into my mind then was health. I think because today I've got what I think of as reasonably good health, and I didn't have that. Sorry, I'm trying to answer the camera and not answer Joe's over there. Because today I've got reasonably good health and I bounce out of bed in the morning and I've got energy and I feel good. And I'm far enough away from the way I used to feel to actually know the difference now. And when I kidded myself that I had a life and I had health, I didn't. And like now, I'm happy to bounce out of bed at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm always awake before 7. I'm wanting to get up. The old me used to wake at 9 and drag myself out of bed at 11:30 if I really could force myself. And I'm going to stay at Target because I don't want to go back to places like that. I had dangerously high blood pressure because of my weight. Yeah, there's a family history there, but the only person whose actual physical problems reflected in their blood pressure was me. I didn't have high blood pressure because my dad had high blood pressure. My dad had high blood pressure because he had a heart condition. I didn't have a heart condition. I just had a hell of a lot of fat around my organs, which gave me high blood pressure. Today, I'm free from all medication. I'm off cholesterol medication. My cholesterol is very, very normal today. And yeah, I don't want to go back to those places. That just motivates me to stay doing what I'm doing. And if I do what I do, then I'll get the results I'm getting. And if I go back to doing what I used to do, then I'll revert to being the awfully unhealthy person I used to be. And it took quite a long time for my blood pressure and everything to come down. It wasn't instant. I don't think I really started to see a difference in those things until I got into the 14 stones. It wasn't immediate. And with the cholesterol, I didn't see the massive improvement I've got now until I was in the 10 stones. But it's been worth it. Yeah? Did I answer that okay? Was it?
Is that the only thing that drives you to stay at Target? Your blood pressure?
My health is the main thing that drives me to stay at Target. Clothes, probably another thing. Because while I intend to be a minimalist, and I practice minimalism in a lot of ways, I don't practice it in clothes. I might one day, but it's still the novelty of being able to go out there and not have to shop in Evans. And no disrespect to Evans. I know there's a place for Evans on the high street, and I needed them for many, many years. I didn't have the choice back then that people seem to have now with yours and I can't think of, probably, I don't know, do Primark do big sizes? I've never been in the shop, I don't know, but I think there are places on the internet as well, but I've never been able to shop in that way because I'm not the kind of person who can order 10 things on the internet with the intention of sending 8 of them back because they don't fit. That would just piss me off. I like to go out, try something on, buy what fits. And we all have our different ways of doing things. And I spent so many hours of my life crying in the changing rooms at Evans because they had nothing that fitted me. Yes, they had a lot of stuff that was size 26, which was my size at the time, but it wasn't my shape. And I've been so frustrated at this time of year, especially over the years, to go into somewhere like Evans and all the party dresses that my friends who were a size 10 and a size 12 would look fantastic in. Evans thought it was clever to make that strappy little black number up to a size 26 and make me look like, well, what my dad would have called a bag of shit. Because they did. I don't think there's a lot of imagination used in designing clothes for the fuller figure, if that's what you wanted to call a size 26. And as a size 26, I was always top heavy. So I could be, at some points, a size 26 on the top and a size 20 on the bottom. Because I've got more chest, shall we say, than I have hips or thighs. And they never seem to take that into account with clothes. And I'm sure some other ladies have the problem in the opposite way, where they're probably a bit heavier on the hips and smaller on the top. And the frustration of all those years of having to buy what I could pretend fitted me and then put a cardigan over it, I'm not going back there. Not if you paid me. You could offer me a chance to be a lottery winner and I don't want to go back there. Today, to walk into a shop, the jumper I'm wearing today, walked into a shop on, was it Tuesday we were in Thoresby? Yeah, Tuesday, and spotted this sweater, size small, and looked at it, touched it, like I have to do because I'm blind, and thought, yeah, that'll fit me. walked into the changing room, put it on, walked out, said, I'll have that. Now, because I go to a shop that sells one-offs, most of my friends go, got more money than sense. Actually, this jumper as a one-off in the shop was cheaper than most jumpers in Marks and Spencer's, where they've got a rack of everything from a size 8 to a size 24. So I'm much more discerning about clothing these days, and I'm loving it. And Joe's getting very, very frustrated because he knows that once my wardrobes are full, I could commandeer half of his. Yeah? So clothes as well as health.
Okay.
And enjoying them.
What is stopping you going to shops, buying and then eating your problem foods? For example, chocolate and pork pie. Like, what's stopping you today from like walking down to the shops and buying them and eating them?
I don't have the desire to do it anymore. Now, I couldn't tell you where that desire's gone, but it's just not there anymore. And I think a lot of it is to do with recognising myself as a greedy person and always used to live in that place. So I wanted it now, I wanted instant gratification, and if we had it in the house, I had to eat it all in case somebody declared World War III and it got taken away from me, or in case somebody else ate it, or I might have to share it. So that's where my hiding food and eating secretly came in. And all of those things now, I know that they don't have power over me.
But like today, we're going to Aldi. Why don't you
Buy junk?
buy that? Why don't you buy that multi-pack of chocolate that you know you like?
The Praline one?
Yeah.
Do you want me to be perfectly frank?
Yeah.
Because it's shit and I don't eat shit anymore. That's being frank. I don't eat junk anymore. If I'm going to eat chocolate today, it would have to be good chocolate for me to want to put it in my body. There's an amazing place in Nottingham called Chocolate Utopia. They've got one in York called Chocolate Heaven. It's handmade, proper Belgian chocolate, and it's quality. And a little bit of that satisfies the itch that 10 bars of Cadbury's, 20 bars of Aldi's, or a whole big tub of Quality Street never satisfied. And there isn't an easy answer to this because I don't know what changed me, other than I took the power back. Those things don't have any control over me anymore. And we have been in Aldi on occasions, and I've been going to pick up
Shoe buns, wasn't it?
Yeah, but that was the day when I'd actually gone way under target. And I said to Joe, I've got to put some weight on for next week. And we were looking at shoe buns because I like what I call elephant's feet. Joe picked up a pack of 2. Now, if it had been a pack of 1, I might have had it. What stopped me was the fact that there were 2. And I knew Joe wouldn't eat the other one, so it would get thrown away. But I knew the likelihood was that I would eat both of them, and I knew that wasn't good behaviour for me. Today, that's not clever anymore. I used to think it was clever. And I actually had them in my hand, didn't I?
Yeah, it was a bit of a landmark day, wasn't it?
Well, I actually had 2 tiramisus in the other hand, if you remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Joe said choose between them. Now, in all stupidity, if there'd been 1 tiramisu and 1 shoe bun, I'd have probably had both, because I needed to gain 3 pounds. But because there was 2 in each box, it just made me stop and think, that's greedy. Normal people wouldn't do this. And I want to be, quotes, normal around food. And I actually put them both back on the shelf and bought a pack of sushi instead. And in all honesty, I enjoyed the sushi a lot more than I would have enjoyed the shoe bun or the tiramisu. And I think for me, the quantity of chocolate I used to eat was my drug of choice, because I never ate a normal amount of chocolate, did I, Joe?
No.
You know the massive family bars? Have you seen the one you can get at Christmas that is like a kilo bar? I can eat one of those in about did eat one of those in about 40 minutes, 45 minutes. Why would you? And when you've taken your power back and that chocolate doesn't have any authority over you anymore, why would you? And today, if I had one of those in the house, I'd happily give it away. I mean, we went shopping yesterday and there's couple of gentlemen that we visit near Christmas and a little lad. And we bought 2 big tins of shortbread biscuits and we bought a big thing of Quality Street for the little lad. And if I'd bought those prior to Christmas in the past, I'd have eaten them all and then had to replace them. And I know now they're as safe as houses here because I don't want them. Just don't physically want them. And I think a lot of that is down to brain power, because I still believe it all starts in here. And I've learnt how to say no. But more than that, I don't have to grit my teeth and say no. I can smile and say no thanks. I honestly don't want it. But yet, I know that if I do want any of those things, I can have them. But just for today, no. Don't want them. And I know that, I could change my mind tomorrow. They'll still be there tomorrow. There's no fear that they're going to be all taken away and there'll be no chocolate in the world tomorrow. But I honestly don't know why, but the desire's gone. Does that answer it? I can't remember what the question was. I don't remember what the question was. What's stopping me? I'm stopping me.
Yeah.
Because I'm making better choices.
Stop that question then.
Yeah, I'm making better choices.
We've got a few.
Oh, right.
Why did you wait until this time in your life to make these changes?
I wasn't ready until this time in my life. I wish to God I had been. I wouldn't be sitting here today though, would I? If I'd been ready 20 years ago. I'm a very stubborn, pig-headed person. Nobody can make me do anything I don't want to do. Nobody. And I didn't want to do it. I thought everything else should change. I thought they should change what was in the shops. They should change the calories in things. They should change the ingredients in things. My family should change. My husband should change. My son should change. Everything should change. But I wasn't going to. Why should I change? It's arrogance, ego. I've talked about ego before. I was too stubborn, too proud, too pig-headed to realise the problem was me. Food's been there for centuries. Food's not a problem. I was the problem. I've got so many friends who are so normal around food, and when I've actually talked to them recently, or within the last 6 months, about the addictions and the problems that I had around food, I think they've been quite mind blown because they didn't realise that food could be such a problem to people. Just the way I didn't realise that alcohol could be such a problem to people. But it wasn't about the food. Bottom line was, it was about me. I wanted it all. I wanted it now. And I must have wanted to be fat, because that was the result. And sometimes, I think there are times in my life when I did want to be fat because it was a safety blanket. And I could blame everything else on the fact that I was fat. I lost my sight when I was 16. Up to then I was perfectly fully sighted and everything. But I can honestly tell you, hand on heart, being fat, and I don't use the word lightly, but I do use it strongly, being fat is a far bigger disability than being blind. It stopped me doing a lot more. And sometimes I used being fat as an excuse not to do anything because it suited me. And I wonder if that applies to anybody else. I wonder if anybody else has ever felt like that. But I had to own it, and then I had to change it. I'm going to conclude this part of the video here, as Joe has several more questions, and this video is in danger of becoming too long. What we're going to do is split it here and do the giveaway, and then come back tomorrow with a part 2 to conclude all of his questions. So this weekend's videos will go up as Diamond Part 1 and Diamond Part 2. Right, moving on now to doing the giveaway. The person who is fortunate enough to be drawn out will win the Filofax from House of Fraser and the keyring attachment which says it works if you work it. So with no more ado, and to stop me faffing around, I've got a bowl here with all the entrants. Everybody has been acknowledged as being in the draw, whose names weren't forward before 6 p.m. yesterday. And I'm just going to ask Joe to pick a name out of the bowl and tell us who the lucky winner is. You're giving him a good start.
Trying to make it random, yeah. Good and
You've got
random.
your eyes closed.
No.
Close your eyes.
Okay, I've got them closed now. Yeah.
The winner is...
I don't know if we can see it.
If he can read his own tiny writing.
Camera doesn't want to focus on it. It's Ava G.
Ava G.
Ava G.
Oh, fabulous. Congratulations, Ava. So if you can drop us an email, and I will make sure you have my email address, and give us an address in sunny Spain, we will send this prize to you. Bless you, that's a lovely result. It would have been lovely if everybody could have won one, but the purse doesn't stretch to that. So, congratulations, Ava. Thank you to everybody else for taking part. It really is appreciated. And there will be more giveaways in celebration of my continuing to stay at Target. I hope you all have a fabulous week. I hope you all get good losses and that you're happy and well. And we look forward to meeting with you again tomorrow. Cheers for now. Have a great day. Remember, it works if you work it. It won't if you don't. See you tomorrow. Bye.